in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, it is Friday, March 1st, and a beautiful day here in West Lafayette, Indiana. My name is Jordan Smith.
And I'm Gabe Obermiller, and you're watching another episode of
Watching Washington. On Capitol Hill Thursday, the Senate passed a stopgap bill to avert a partial shutdown by the end of this week. Lawmakers voted 77-13 to extend government funding on a short-term basis. The new deadlines for government shutdown are now set for March 8th and March 22nd. The House okayed the bill earlier in the day, and Biden signed the bill early Friday morning. Some government funding would have expired on Friday if lawmakers didn't pass the stopgap bill in time. On Wednesday, congressional leaders announced an agreement on 6 appropriations bills. They said the package of 6 spending bills will be enacted before March 8th. The remaining appropriations bills to fund the rest of the government will be finalized and passed before March 22nd.
Mitch McConnell steps down as the chamber's Republican leader at 82 years old. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell will step down as the chamber's Republican leader in November, but will remain in the Senate. He announced his decision on Wednesday, citing total clarity and peace about stepping down. McConnell stated his belief in preserving his ideals and mentioned his decision was influenced by the tragic death of his wife Elaine Chow's younger sister, Angela, in a recent traffic accident.
So as I've been thinking about when I would deliver some news to the Senate, I always imagined a moment when I had total clarity and peace about the sunset of my work. A moment when I'm certain I have helped preserve the ideals I so strongly believed. That day arrived today.
With Super Tuesday coming up, Nikki Haley desperately needed some momentum with the Michigan primary. Unfortunately for Haley, former President Trump dominated in the polls once again, gaining 68% of the votes and gaining 12 delegates while Haley only gained 4. After this victory, Trump now has 122 delegates compared to Haley's 24. There are still 3 primaries before Super Tuesday on the 5th. Idaho and Missouri will be on Saturday the 2nd and North Dakota on Monday the 4th. The race could very well be over in the next few days.
Now, Jordan, turning over to the Democratic primary, President Biden is the projected winner in the Michigan Democratic presidential primary. But the results are still turning a few heads. A group of Democrats in Michigan organized a protest vote against Biden's handling of the Israel-Palestine conflict, with over 100,000 voting uncommitted. Biden won the popular vote in Michigan in the 2020 general election by a margin of about 100,000 votes. Several Democrats on Capitol Hill are voicing their concerns following the primary.
I'm deeply concerned about this election and about holding together our coalition because there are a lot of issues that need to be addressed to make sure that we're unified, and we can take nothing for granted. This will be a hard-fought election, and we need every single vote.
I am worried. I've talked to them, and I know they feel very strongly and have a right to. The situation facing the Palestinians in Gaza is horrible. It's a humanitarian disaster, and the sooner the hostilities come to an end and the sooner the relief is delivered, the sooner we're going to see some, I think, people sitting back and taking stock of what the real choices are in November.
Oh, I'm not concerned. It's not unusual to have uncommitted. We've had that in all elections. Well, we continue to do our work to make sure that folks understand that voting for President Biden is absolutely critical for the future of this country. So we'll run an aggressive campaign in Michigan like we always do. Michigan's a competitive state, always has been, always will be, and we'll be running a good campaign. I'm confident he will win in Michigan.
The Supreme Court had 2 big court cases to hear on this week, the first one from Texas and Florida about new social media laws. Republicans in Florida and Texas took action by creating laws that prevent large social media platforms from banning users based on their political viewpoints. It would require each platform to provide an individual explanation to users about why their posts have been edited or removed. Politicians from each state brought up the First Amendment, but state officials argue they are regulating social media platforms' business behavior, not their speech. This means the justices will have to decide whether social media is a platform that is open to everyone without filtering, or a place that can edit and curate information. Yet, this was not the only major case the Supreme Court heard from. Gabe?
Yeah, Jordan, the Supreme Court also heard oral arguments this week in Garland v. Cargill, which challenges a Trump administration-era ban on bump stocks, a gun accessory that allows semi-automatic rifles to fire more rapidly. The issue at the center of the case is whether the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives has the authority to ban bump stocks under the National Firearms Act of 1934, a federal law that banned machine guns. The prohibition was imposed by the Trump administration following the 2017 Las Vegas mass shooting. A decision is expected to be announced this summer.
A U.S. Air Force member has died after setting himself on fire in protest outside the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. D.C. Metro Police say on Sunday Aaron Bushnell poured an unknown liquid on himself and ignited it, yelling, "Free Palestine." The 25-year-old from Texas eventually collapsed while police tried to put out the flames with fire extinguishers. Bushnell was taken to the hospital where he later died. He live-streamed the event on Twitch until the video was taken off the platform. The video was obtained by CNN. In this video, he said he would, quote, "no longer be complicit in genocide." D.C. Police, Secret Service, and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives are still investigating.
Up next, information about the ongoing wildfires in Texas.
Plus more on the Senate Bill 202. Stay with us for more Watching Washington next.
Imagine a world where Olympics and Paralympics are unified as one, and where all athletes at all levels have equal opportunities to play and perform at their full potential.
Athletics has been such an influential and transformative aspect of my life. So to me, RISE is about ensuring that every person that has the desire to participate in sport has the opportunity to do so.
This organization is about recognition. We believe in recognizing excellence where it is found, especially in Paralympic sports.
RISE is about driving change in our community and beyond. We hope that through our events and initiatives, we can galvanize people for our cause and inspire them to create an ever-growing network to help achieve our mission.
It's about connecting people of various backgrounds and who truly care about creating meaningful change together.
We develop projects and hold events to bring people together at the interface of inclusivity, sports, and engineering.
Our goal is to promote the equality of all sports and to improve sports performance and accessibility.
Join us so that you can have a major contribution in creating meaningful change.
The Center for C-SPAN, which is this organization, the CCSC, what we do is we facilitate like a bunch of organizations, different programs for Brian Lamb, which is the founder of C-SPAN. Anyone can be part of CCSC, whether it be through our various internships, our competitions, just to be involved, even like our student community meetings that we have every week. Anyone can go, you don't have to be communications or poli-sci. You just meet so many people, the connections you make is kind of crazy, the range that CCSC has. So yeah, it's just provided me so many opportunities to like kind of achieve the goals I have personally and forward to like whatever career paths I choose.
Welcome back. On Monday afternoon, a wildfire broke out in the Texas Panhandle, and it has since grown to become the largest wildfire in Texas history, passing the East Amarillo Complex fire of 2006.
The Smokehouse Creek fire started in Hutchinson County and has now spread through numerous counties and across the state line. The spread of the fire has caused a temporary shutdown for the nation's primary nuclear weapons facility, as the fire has posed a threat. However, it is reported that fire barriers were being built to, quote, protect plant facilities. Due to strong winds, high temperatures, and dry grass, slowing this fire has proven difficult. However, Thursday's precipitation and lighter winds stalled the growth. The latest updates state that the fire is now 15% contained. The Smokehouse Creek fire has grown to burn over 1 million acres in Texas and 25,000 acres in Oklahoma. This fire continues to spread.
And according to CNN, North Korea's munitions factories are, quote, operating at full capacity to produce weapons and shells for Russia, according to South Korea's defense minister, as Moscow's devastating war in Ukraine grinds into a third year. The latest estimate from South Korea offers fresh clues on the crucial but highly secretive role that North Korea is playing to help resupply Moscow's war of attrition at a time when Ukraine's own need for vital military resupplies is being held up by predominantly Republican lawmakers in Washington.
That's right, Gabe. And the weapons and military equipment, which include millions of rounds of artillery shells, is being delivered to Russia in exchange for shipments of food and other necessities. South Korean Defense Minister Shin Wok-sik said Monday since Pyongyang has shipped about 6,700 containers to Russia, which could accommodate more than 3 million rounds of 152mm artillery shells and more than 500,000 rounds of 122mm multiple rocket launchers, according to Shin's ministry.
And an appeals court ruled on Tuesday that Indiana's ban on transition care for minors can soon take effect. Senate Enrolled Act 480 is the law that forbids doctors from administering treatments such as hormone therapy and gender transition-related surgeries to minors. After the law was signed in April by Republican Governor Eric Holcomb, the American Civil Liberties Union, or ACLU, took action to file a lawsuit to block the law. The ACLU and the ACLU of Indiana made a statement about how disappointed they are in this decision and want to make Indiana feel safe for everyone.
A controversial Indiana Senate bill, now an Enrolled Act 202, moves closer to becoming law. The bill, authored by state senator and former Purdue administrator Spencer Deary, passed the Indiana House on Tuesday. Deary says the bill is in response to polls that say conservative students don't feel comfortable on Indiana college campuses. It adds a post-tenure review for faculty and a complaint process where students can raise concerns. Due to amendments, one involving the appointment of Board of Trustees members at state universities. The bill went back to the Senate, where a motion to concur the latest version was filed. The bill is on track to head to the governor's desk. If Governor Eric Holcomb signs the bill, which he is expected to do so, the bill would become law on July 1st.
A small pro-Russia autonomous region in eastern Moldova and on the border of Ukraine has issued a public call for help from Moscow. Relations between Moldova and the breakaway state called Transnistria have always been tense and worsened in recent months after Moldova imposed new customs duties on imports and on exports from Transnistria. On Wednesday, a rare session of the Transnistria Congress appealed to Russia to help protect the region from Moldova in the face of increased economic pressure. Moldova described the call for help as propaganda. Its government then issued a decree to private enterprises to transfer vehicles to the military in the event of mobilization. Russia's foreign ministry says the protection of Transnistrian citizens is a priority and currently has over 1,500 soldiers stationed in the region supporting the separatists.
Tune in as we welcome a Purdue alum with experience in national security and border patrol. Stay tuned for a discussion you won't want to miss.
The full interview just ahead on Watching Washington.
At Purdue University, we're not just students, we're future leaders. Join Air Force ROTC to embark on a journey of honor, excellence, and service. Learn, lead, and soar to new heights. It's not just a commitment, it's a calling. Purdue Air Force ROTC, where dreams take flight. Are you ready to rise?
I got a switch in my head. I go from living to dead. You got me seeing all red. Now I'm becoming.
We are energetic, we are motivating, and we are unique.
I don't think you can beat Quidditch.
Are you looking for a new hobby?
Or you want to have a fun evening with your friends?
Then come climb to new heights at the Co-Rec Climbing Wall.
All right, Jordan, well, a great show today, and the good content continues. We have a special guest with us in the studio this week. We welcome Andy Manor, a Purdue alum with experience in national security and Border Patrol.
Let's go now to Washington's Josh King, who is standing by with this week's interview.
Thank you. That's right. I got Andy Manor with me today to discuss the topic of national security and the border crisis. Thank you for being here, Andy.
Happy to be here.
All right. So first, I'm going to start with my first question. How are you doing today?
Well, I'm having a great day because I love seeing kids build in the legend of Brian Lamb and what he's done. He's done more for the openness of government and the transparency of government than anyone I know. So I'm happy to sit in a little bit of his shadow today and see what you are all doing.
Thank you. All right, so we're about to get into some of the questions we have today. First, I'm going to start off with, can you tell me your experience in national security and with border control?
Well, I had the honor of serving in government right after 9/11. And I believe a lot in national security and every American doing their part. I happen to be involved at Customs and Border Protection, which is an agency that is in the news a lot. But right after 9/11, being at Customs was a very different task. It was America was reeling from the attacks of 9/11, and Customs had to do a lot of work around its people, its process, and its systems in securing the border, identifying potential threats, terrorists to cargo and conveyances. So Customs has been on a almost 240-year journey of securing the border. So maybe today we'll talk about where we are, but it's a very, very complex mission, because in America we want goods and travel to flow freely, but we also need to be secure. So it's a very complex mission set to deal with.
Yeah, I also agree. Like, it sounds very complex. You said you looked at potential security threats. My next question is, what are the biggest threats to national security?
Well, they evolve a lot based on what's happening in the world, how our adversaries are being led, and what their strategic goals are. Certainly right now, cybersecurity, immigration, we have a domestic terrorism threat in this country. The threats are not hard to find, and because of the speed of information and the speed of data and the vast amounts of data and the number of threats, it's just probably as complex as it has ever been.
Yeah, with technology evolving and everything.
Correct.
Imagine that being very complex.
Correct.
On the topic of cybersecurity, apps like TikTok, for example, are banned from government devices, and even here on campus at Purdue, and in some states. Is it dangerous? Younger people still use TikTok, and some even for work. And government bans of regulations make it tough. Is it restricting the app's use? Is restricting the app the best way to approach the situation of cybersecurity?
Well, it's certainly a big question, and I wouldn't comment on individual apps maybe at the moment, but I would tell everyone that and I don't work in government now, I'm just a private citizen like everyone else, but we have to decide how much freedom we want and what is the definition of freedom. And in TikTok, using it as an example, happens to be have foreign ownership. Well, anytime anything in the United States is foreign owned, we have to make a decision. Is it right for us? Is it right for our children? And you know, right now, Americans tend to lean that they want everything whenever they want it. And so these debates tend to ebb and flow based on politics and what's happening in the world. And right now, the flow of information coming at us is so great that people have begun to not discriminate where they're, you know, necessarily getting their information from. So we just, as a nation, have to make a decision. Is it just anyone can bring anyone here? Any of our adversaries, our enemies, they can bring whatever technology they want here, or do we want to have rules and maybe a more balanced approach? And that's what we're all choosing between when we elect our leaders.
All right. Thank you for your response. Now we're going to change the focus more into the border. First, I'd like to say is it a crisis? America was built on immigration. How do we welcome immigrants yet keep current citizens safe and maintain resources?
Yeah. Well, as I said earlier, immigration remains immigration in the United States remains one of the most complex issues of our time. And the first thing you have to do is separate into legal immigration and illegal immigration. And we have a set of laws that very clearly state how to enter the United States. Yeah. And we're a law-abiding country. And right now, people tend to make this a political issue, and it's really not. We have a set of laws, and we have the need to bring legal immigration for families, for IP workers, for certain technology people. Our country has been built on that, as you mentioned. So if you separate legal immigration and illegal immigration, by nature, it's illegal. And we have laws in this country that are on the books that we have to choose as a nation how to support or how we believe those laws should be executed. And I think what happens is we get kind of modularized. We're people up here who aren't near the southern border have a certain vision of it. People on the southern border, and it's a very complex issue. I've been flown or walked almost every mile of our border, and I'll just tell you, unless you've been at the border, it's incredibly hard to imagine what goes on down there. And the men and women that encounter people entering the United States have a very, very hard job. It becomes a humanitarian job. It's just probably one of the hardest jobs in government. So it's a complex issue. It's not really a political issue. It's really about what laws do we want to uphold in our country.
All right. Several governors and President Biden, former President Trump, are making trips to the border. What do you think they will learn? Is it better to see it in person than get a report on the news?
Certainly, with any problem, being on the forefront and seeing it really helps a person envision what's happening there. So it's always good when our politicians go see things firsthand, and more that they hear from the people interacting every day, both the law enforcement, humanitarian, NGOs. So yeah, I mean, I applaud anyone that gets out of the office and goes and sees it for itself. It's definitively a crisis. It is the levels of what's happening down there has not been seen certainly in recent history. So it's good to get out.
Got you. I also agree. I think that our leadership should get down there and see what's going on firsthand, so they can really take everything in. You know.
Correct.
So there's been a lot of attention right now busing immigrants to cities like New York and Chicago. How can we best handle the increase of immigration and both illegal and illegal?
Well, the first thing we should all agree upon, it's probably the only thing we can agree on at the moment as a nation, that immigration is a national crisis. It's a national priority. What's happening isn't Texas's problem. It's not Arizona's problem. It's a national. So we can't regionalize it and have what we think up here in the Midwest or the Northeast that we have the answer. It's affecting all of us when you're talking about this many people. So in illegal immigration, it's national. It's affecting every single person in this country. On the legal immigration, it's another thing a lot of us agree on. A certain number of visas each year for our allies and people to study abroad and do interchanges is amazing for the world order. It's amazing for peaceful interactions. Having the legal immigration going back and forth is an absolute stalwart of a peaceful world. So we should continue that. That is a process that's generally worked over time, certain numbers every year, people adhere to it. Companies are a big factor in running that. So we have to come together and decide what is our, who do we want to be.
All right. That's all we have for you today. Thank you for being here, Andy Manor, and hope you have a great day.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. That's all the time we have today, and thank you to our guest, Andy Manor, for being with us.
And thank you for watching Washington. See you next time.
The program allows students to finish their bachelor's degree and also get an online master's degree that overlap during their last year at Purdue.
Students can more quickly work towards a graduate degree while concurrently starting their professional careers.
The online program allows them to kind of go at their own pace, and so they're not having to abide by the academic calendar.
And our goal is that this would make you even more compelling for your next opportunity in the workforce.
Baseball in general is just a fun group of guys that we're looking to play baseball at the next level, and it's a fun way to have some people come together and play a game we like. The guys that are a nice fit to the team as well as good at baseball. So that's really a big piece of the puzzle to joining the team, and you can get a lot of information just reaching out.
What does it take to be a Purdue tour guide? You've got to know your history. You have to know your facts. You've got to have that Purdue spirit. And you have to walk backwards.
Hi there, my name is Vikram Jaithlak, and I'm the founder and president of the Purdue chapter of the University Blood Initiative. Over the past 2 years, we've been able to collect over 300 pints of blood to be donated to local hospitals, and you can be the next one to help out.
I donate my blood at the University Blood Initiative.
Hi, I just donated blood through the University Blood Initiative.
Hi, I just donated blood through the University Blood Initiative at Purdue.
Right, I donated my blood through the University Blood Initiative at Purdue.
And I donated my blood at University Blood Initiative at Purdue.